Trig Pre-College Series. In the previous video, we discussed sequences. In this video, we're going to discuss series. For the sequences, there was arithmetic, geometric, and recursive. For series, we're only going to talk about arithmetic and geometric. And we have a formula for a series. A series is basically a sum. You'll know it's a series question when it talks about it summing to something, the sum of the 50 terms of an arithmetic sequence or so on. So a series sums to something. A sequence can go on forever. But we have two formulas. We need a arithmetic series formula and a geometric series formula, but they're given to us on our reference sheet. So towards the bottom of the reference sheet, you'll see here the sum of an arithmetic series is this, and the sum of a geometric series. Now they include the word finite in there because you could also do the sum of an infinite series, but that's something you'll learn in calculus and pre-calc and stuff like that. So we don't go to infinite series in this level. Our series will always, end somewhere, like the sum of the first 50 terms and so on. So these formulas do not need to be memorized. However, for the arithmetic series, there is an a to the n in there. And for that, you actually need the a to the n formula from the previous video, from the sequence video, which is a1 plus n minus 1 times d. And we're going to be adding this to our reference sheet right in this spot because of this reason. So this formula actually requires this formula. So this one you don't need to memorize, but this one you need to use for it. Over here, you do not need the a to the n geometric series. It is, just to refresh our memory, a1 times r raised to the n minus 1, but it is not needed for the geometric series. So let's look at an example of each. What is the sum, which tells me series, of the first 19 terms of the sequence? 3, 10, 17, 24, 31. Now, could I just continue the pattern until I have 19 of them and then add them all up? Sure. But let's practice our formula anyways because the questions will be designed specifically for you to use that. So the formula is s to the n, standing for sum or series. Let me just make sure I get it right. Is n parentheses a1 plus an over 2. So n parentheses a1 plus an over 2. And so what this substitute would be to, so if I want the sum of the first 19 terms, that's my n. So s of 19 is sum of 19 terms. Sum of the first 19 terms would be s19 equals 19 is our n, parentheses, a1 is your first term, and they show us here that our first term starts with 3, plus an, which would be your, in this case, 19th term divided by 2. And so to get my 19th term, I need my a to the n formula from the previous video, which is a1 plus n minus 1 times d. Now again, could I just continue the pattern and find all 19? Yes. But if they say what's the sum of the first 1,000 terms, then that would take you a while. So to get the 19th term, I need a19, which is going to be equal to your first term, 3, plus n minus 1. Again, n's 19, so 19 minus 1 would be 18 times d. How am I going from one term to the next? How do I go from 3 to 10, 10 to 17? We're adding 7 each time. So that would be 7. So let me get my calculator up here so I don't make any algebra mistakes. And while this is loading, let me just again kind of talk about this, that I think it's really the trickiest part of this whole topic, is not just the formulas, but recognizing that for this formula, you need this formula. And they give you one, but not the other. And so that's really kind of a key issue there. It's almost as if this formula could kind of be written like this. S to the n equals n parentheses a1 plus n minus 1 times d divided by 2. Because that's really what a to the n is. And so why not just give it, you could make it 2a1 because you could combine like terms here. So, I don't know why they chose to do this, but that's how it is in this course, so that's how we do it. But all right, I think my calculator is loaded up, so let's figure out my 19th term now. So 3 plus parentheses 18 parentheses times 7 is 129. So my 19th term is 129, and that's going to go in right here. And now again, I'll do this in my calculator. 19 parentheses 3 plus 129, and I could add that together if I wanted to. So 19 parentheses 3 plus 2, 9, and then divided by 2 is 1254. 1254. Okay, and see how I type this whole thing in. You could do it separately. I could do, 3 plus 129 is 132. 132 times the 19, get that, and then divide by 2. So you could do it in pieces or you could do it all at once, your choice. All right, this is a geometric one, so let's look at this. We want the sum, again telling me it's a series question, of the first 8 terms of the series. So could I just continue to 8 terms and add them up? Yes. But again, questions will be designed specifically to use the formula. So let's take a look at our formula for geometric. And I'm not told it's geometric, first of all, but I can see that I'm not adding or subtracting to get to my next terms. This pattern is clearly a geometric relationship. In fact, how am I getting from one term to the next? Well, you could always figure it out by taking a term like negative 12 and dividing by the term before it. So negative 12 divided by 3 equals negative 4. So my ratio is negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. And we see the sign's changing each time because every time I multiply by a negative, it changes its sign. So anyways, let's go back to our formula here. It is Sn is a1 parentheses 1 minus r to the n parentheses over 1 minus r. 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. So let's see. Sn equals, I think it's a1 in the front, right? Not an n in the front. Let me just verify that. A1, yep. And parentheses 1 minus r to the n parentheses divided by 1 minus r. So you need 2 things here. You need your a1, which is your first term. That's going to be 3 in this example also. You need your ratio, which we already found out to be negative 4. And you need how many terms you want. N, if we want 8 terms, that's going to be our n. So sum of the 8 terms, S8, equals your first term, 3, parentheses, 1 minus my ratio is negative 4. And I'm going to put that in parentheses because it's being raised to an exponent of 8 because it's raised to n, divided by 1 minus my ratio, negative 4. Now this I really would not type in all at once because there's a lot going on here. So I would kind of do this in pieces. First, I would evaluate this. I would do 1 minus parentheses negative 4 parentheses raised to the 8th. And so I would evaluate that whole piece inside to get this. And again, even this you could do in pieces if you wanted to. You could do just the negative 4 raised to the 8th and then 1 minus second answer. So either way it works out, it gets you the same thing. And so that's this number here, and it's 3 times that. So 3 times that gives me this whole thing. And I'm actually going to write this number down. Negative 196,605. Negative 196,605. Over 1 minus negative 4 is really 1 plus 4 because the minus negative divided by 5. And so now I will take this number and divide by 5 to get my answer of negative 39321. Negative 39321. So that's my answer for that. All right, so sum of an arithmetic sequence, we have a formula they give to us, but you need to know this formula in order to do it. And sum of a geometric series, which is a little bit more complex, so you might want to avoid typing it in all at once and do it kind of in pieces, but you can certainly still do it with your calculator's assistance. All right, that's